So let's bring in tonight's panel for their top moments. Contributors, Fox News contributors, Leslie Marshall, Dory Murdoch, and Steve Hilton. Welcome to all of you.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
Okay, Dory, we're going to start with you and play the shot you picked from President Trump, then get you to explain.
I did what our political establishment never expected and could never forgive, breaking the cardinal rule of Washington politics. I kept my promise.
Okay, so Dory, why was that your pick?
Well, look, I happen to support President Trump. I hope he gets reelected. But whether you agree or disagree with President Trump, it really is remarkable how much this man made promises and actually has kept his promises. For example, he said we'd get a tax cut. We got the biggest tax cut in American history. He said he was going to build a wall. Well, that's being done, 275 miles worth of wall. He said he would appoint constitutionalist judges. A lot of people thought he might appoint a bunch of liberal judges. That didn't happen. About 200 and change constitutionalist judges, including two constitutionalist conservative Supreme Court justices and counting. He said he would go on the fight against ISIS and wipe it out. Guess what? The ISIS caliphate totally has disappeared. And I could go on and on. Keystone Pipeline, many other things, energy independence. So this really has been an incredible, going on 4 years now, of promises made, promises kept.
Well, and Leslie, that gets to your pick for tonight. He promised he was going to carry out criminal justice reform. He had a powerful speaker tonight, Alice Johnson, who is now free from prison and benefiting from those changes. Let's hear from her.
Some say you do the crime, you do the time. However, that time should be fair and just. We've all made mistakes. None of us want to be defined forever based on our worst decision.
Leslie, and I did feel like she made such a powerful emotional argument and connection on these really, tough issues.
And not only that, but when we just look at the facts that African Americans are in prison disproportionately compared to whites and other races in this nation. In addition, when, we lead the world, sadly, in incarceration. And I'm a big believer in second chances, Shannon. I really am. And I think it's great that this woman was pardoned. I think there are probably a lot of other people in prison who are trying to make a better life inside, so when they get out, they can be better citizens than they were the first time around. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And, I think sometimes forgiveness and redemption is needed, and maybe if we had more of that, we wouldn't be so divided and there wouldn't be so much vitriol as a nation. So that resonated with me when she said that portion of her speech.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness for forgiveness. I need it every day, thank God for that. And she did make the point, Leslie, that there were so many other people in prison trying to do, as you said, what she's done, and it's turned her life around. And we saw that with John Ponder and his pardon last night. A very moving story about how he had taken control of his life behind bars as well. Okay, Steve, to your moment now. You also picked the president, so we'll play your portion.
The Biden shutdown would be measured in increased drug overdoses, depression, alcohol addiction, suicides, heart attacks, economic devastation, job loss, and much more. Joe Biden's plan is not a solution to the virus, but rather it's a surrender to the virus. We will have a safe and effective vaccine this year, and together we will crush the virus.
And Steve, the RNC has gotten a lot of heat for not talking. They've been accused of not talking about COVID this week, but the president did address it at least briefly tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because it was part of the character of the whole speech. What I thought was really good about it was that it was extremely substantive. For me, it was a bit of a roadmap to re-election. All the big arguments were there, the main messages. The biggest of all, I think, was this basic positioning of the election choice, which is that the Republicans are pro-America and the Democrats are anti-America. Underneath that, you saw all these specific arguments. The reason I picked that one there is, if you think back to the Democratic Convention, they seem to be putting all their eggs in one basket, really, which is that Trump's made a complete mess of the coronavirus and the economic devastation that's come as a result of that, and therefore he shouldn't be re-elected. And what was interesting about that section just there was the president was saying, you're not going to have it your own way on those big arguments of the virus and getting the economy back on track. And in fact, Joe Biden's really serious gaffe the other week in that interview where he said, yes, I would shut down the economy again. Now the Trump campaign is going to be really hammering that home with this phrase we heard for the first time tonight, the Biden shutdown. That's going to terrify people. And I thought the president was extremely strong both on the virus and on the economic recovery from it. And that's going to be a crucial issue in the election.
Okay, quickly before we go, DeRoy, you've got an op-ed that's coming out tomorrow, so I just want to touch on that quickly and give you a chance to explain. But you say the RNC has really got after the Democratic narrative that the party and the president are xenophobic and racist and all those things. Give us a quick preview to close us out.
Sure. Just briefly, we saw every single night of this convention, black, Hispanic people coming out and saying why they're supportive of President Trump. They don't believe he's a racist. We had the vice president of the Navajo Nation talk about this bill that's supportive, the most supportive thing he says he's seen in Indian country, as he called it. We saw the swearing-in ceremony for 5 immigrants at the White House, very moving and very touching. And I think that this whole series of speeches and appearances and images, I think, completely obliterates this whole notion that Donald J. Trump is some kind of a white supremacist. I think that idea is dead, and I think we're going to hear much more about this appeal to black voters and minority voters. And a lot of these people we saw at the convention, I think, will be out on the trail making that same exact appeal.
All right, we'll look for that op-ed tomorrow. Leslie, DeRoy, and Steve, thank you all very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank
you, Shannon.